Hello everyone, this is part 56 of What If Naruto Learned the Secret of Shadow Clone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Stared out over the ocean that was laid out before him. Night had fallen and they had finally hit the coast of the land of hot waters. From here it would be a cautious and silent journey to Azushio's islands. They couldn't be caught before they made landfall. Any warning to that brat before then would spell disaster and a wasted effort. It wouldn't be just skill beyond this point, but more than a little bit of luck. Behind him and setting up camp, Choi and the others were focused on their tasks while B was gearing himself up for another round of trying to convince A of turning back. It would have been beneficial to wait until the others went to sleep, but time was not on his side. He hadn't had much of a chance during their travels, and he wouldn't have another chance once morning came. It had to be now. Clearing his throat as he walked to stand on A's right, B tried to start slow. You know, it's probably not the best idea to leave Kumo without some of its heaviest hitters right now. Are you sure this is worth the risk? Not responding to B, A scowled. It had been days of this. B skirting around what he really wanted to say. The idle chit-chat, quiet hints and suggestions. Always the same thing. Don't go to Azushio. Don't fight the Uzumaki. Let your shame go. His anger was finally ready to boil over. B. Enough with this. Turning harshly to face his partner, A had a finger within an inch of B's nose. Say what you want to say clearly or let it go. We don't have time for this back and forth. Behind them both, those setting up camp went silent, watching their leader and their Jinchuriki and wondering if a different sort of conflict was going to start up before they even made it to Azushiogakur. Grunting and at a loss for what to do, B decided to bull through. I wasn't the only one who could be stubborn. Fine. You want me to come clean, I will. This is foolish and you're a fool. You're starting a war over your pride and I want nothing to do with it. You're going to drag all of us into this and what are we to gain? B motioned back the way they came, to the line of trees where they had been traveling non-stop for the last few days. Decades of trying to breed Uzumaki blood into our village and for what? A couple of half-breeds who barely show their traits. Are we really going to risk everything just to repeat that? You should know better than this. A turn to face B fully with his arms crossed over his broad chest. You certainly have a lot of nerve to speak up now. Don't think your hands are clean in any of this. A stepped forward, well within B's personal space as his scowl deepened. You've been a dutiful Kumo shinobi, haven't you? Killing when required. Kidnapping when necessary. Breeding when ordered. How many captives have you lain with B? How many Uzumaki have you killed, full blood or otherwise? There was a pause as A's voice lowered to a whisper, who's Karu's father killer B? A paused once more as he could see the instant rage that passed over B's face. He knew the Jinchuriki wanted nothing more than to hit him with everything he had. Duty and the shared history wouldn't allow him to. You're a Kumo shinobi through and through. Don't try to lecture me now about what any of this is worth. We started a job, a mission. It's time to finish it. B turned away, walking a few steps to stare out over the ocean while his mind buzzed with white noise. That pig-headed asshole. How dare he? How? Taking deep and even breaths, he did his best to still his raging heart. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. It was supposed to be easier than this. I was supposed to listen to him. Listen to reason. Just. Why? Turning back to the wreckage, B pointed a similarly burly finger at the man. And what of you? If you don't kill Naruto, you know what he will do. What he promised. Are you so sure you can kill him? We will kill him. We have no choice. I could see this was over. B had no real argument here. Stuck as he was in his emotions, B would follow orders in the end. Because it is either we allow Azushio to destroy our way of life, our legacy, or we crush them like we did before. It is the one mantra that was given to us throughout the years. The Uzumaki cannot live. We cannot coexist with them. You know it. I know it. A sighed and went back to staring out over the ocean's waters. Get your head on straight, Killer B. We have a mission to carry out in the morning. And I will not put up with this in the morning. Be cursed. turning away from her and stalking away towards the trees. Something will need to be straightened out by morning. That is for sure, Rakage. And then he was gone, vanishing into the tree cover. A huffed, projecting his voice to the three-man team who were frozen between the two behemoths before them. Don't you worry. B just gets worked up before missions like this. He'll be right as rain come morning. I turned back and nodded to them all in turn. Eat and rest. We have a long day ahead of us tomorrow. Yes, Lord Rakage. All three answered in unison, while unknowingly they were united in their thoughts. Just what would tomorrow hold for them? Would B come back? Or would their mission be that much harder come the morning? Away from the group but well within sensing range, B grumbled and did his best to rid his mind of the argument he just had with A. Of all the arrogant blowhards. Gyuki chuckled, you're certainly one to talk. Don't start. I'm angry enough as is. Ooh touchy. You don't like it. Tough. There was plenty he said that he wasn't wrong about. Was he, Defiler? You have some nerve. You've been right here along for the ride the entire time. Anger reaching a peak, B lashed out. A fist flashed out to obliterate a 4-foot-thick tree trunk, sending the massive tree to crash to the ground in a tortured cacophony of sound. You could have renounced me at any time. Could have spoken out against me. Against us. And yet, you've been here right along for the ride. Not a word of complaint. Do you not remember what I am, B? Gyuki sighed and pulled his chakra a bit more inward. This was a conversation they had not had in a long while. Depressing really. I am a mirror. I am what you show me. Show me your jovial and carefree side, and there I am, much the same. Show me the determined do or die ninja and soldier and I will be the same. My memories are only those that I am allowed to have. Experiences curated by my hosts through the years. Do I come to terms that things that are perpetrated by you and yours are wrong? Of course, because I assume that it is for the greater good. But this, what has happened in the last few decades? I have more experience now, and it is harder to explain it away. Gyuki pulled yet more of himself away from B. I can admit that we did wrong. Can you do the same? Wrong. Wrong. B laughed, a bitter and sorrowful noise leaving his throat. It thinks to lecture me on what is right or wrong. I am a soldier, with a duty to my home and people. And yet, this goes beyond that duty. I have my orders. B sighed finally, mind finally clearing. I hadn't been wrong. B was submerged in the filth of this world. Redemption for him was never an option. There was no room for cold feet. Not anymore. Maybe after this, maybe in another time, he could spend the rest of his waking hours atoning for these sins. We have a mission to complete, Gyuki. No. That brought B up short. Gyuki wanted to deny him. Now, after everything they had been through together. Turning in place with the moon at his back, B nearly snarled in the empty air. No. What the hell do you mean no? Exactly what I said, Killer B. No. I will have no part of this. It is wrong. Even more, this is a foolish plan with a foregone conclusion. You will all die. B grit his teeth, having a hard time believing this. You seem to forget, you've been along for the ride all this time. Yeah. Even during my darkest times. You aren't clean either. Whose chakra did I need to break? Uzumaki seals him. How guilty can a parasite be for the actions of its host? Fighting enemies and protecting your home is one thing. But everything else, you didn't need me for that. And the others, had I really known what was happening, I never would have aided you. Gyuki pulled a more substantial amount of its chakra from B's network. Pulling himself into a dense and untouchable core. I'll sit this one out. Have fun. B shook his head, mind clearing as he realized his partner was no longer such. With a thought, seals within himself came alive, and the Eight Tails chakra came roaring back to the forefront. I'm sorry, but you don't get to run away for this. Sighing and staring down into the ground as Gyuki raged in his newly formed cage, B shook his head. We're going to finish this. Because that is the only path left to us. Sealed more tightly and left without full control of his chakra, Gyuki raged internally. I promise, Killer B, when you die the Shinigami will not be kind to you. B grunts as he walks back to the camp. Doesn't matter. This is for the safety and security of Kumo. I don't need anything else. He could see the fire again as he cut the connection between the two. No, he didn't need anything else right now. He had a mission ahead of him. Maybe things would have been different if he had fought Naruto on that overlook at that hot spring so long ago. Maybe if he had concrete proof that fighting the boy was a fool's errand. Life was full of too many maybe situations. It was time to find out for certain who was stronger. B. Across the ocean and settling himself onto the soft earth, Naruto made a place for himself next to a contemplative Sasuke. The Uzumaki and Uchiha houses were quiet, most everyone gone to sleep already or preparing themselves for such. This gave both young men a chance to talk, staring up into the starlit sky above them. Sasuke's eyes turned downward, eyes on the mirror-like surface of the lake. The stars and the moon reflected there much like his thoughts. What's next, Naruto? I can tell you've had something on your mind all day. Heaving a sigh, Naruto kept his eyes on the heavens, no longer so sure they offered the usual peace he hoped for. I had a little sit down with Zetsu today. Things are not good. He explains quietly, the conversation he had with Zetsu and the revelation about Kaguya and her people. Through it all, Sasuke sat in silence and watched the stars cross the sky from the water's surface. So Kaguya wasn't of this world and more like her were coming. Yeah, more than a little troubling. So, say we pack up the family and jump ship. You figure out how to cross worlds yet? He knew Naruto never would. But in the same breath, this was bigger than anything they had faced yet. The likes of Itachi or even the other villages paled before this threat. Naruto huffed, crossing his legs and placing his hands on his knees. Don't tempt me. I love my people. But, the thought of my family, the kids, of any of them dying because of this. I'd send them as far as I need if it means they live through this. Taking another steadying breath, Naruto looks down into the calm waters of the lake with Sasuke. Not that they'd let me. They all would fight me tooth and nail to stay. Sasuke hums at that. Would you listen? Don't ask me that, Sasuke. Sorry, just. Would Sasuke listen? If he had the power to send Sakura and Amaru away to safety against their will, would he do it? Knowing they would hate him. It was better than watching them die. Anything would be better than knowing he failed them. Grunting, Naruto shook his head. In the end, we don't know anything yet beyond that. We need more information. Which means we need to decide whether to revive Kaguya or not. Oh great, another super-powered woman. I give her 10 minutes before she jumps your bones. The Uchiha is on my side. You both are idiots. Naruto shook his head with a chuckle as Sasuke joined in. But seriously, if we want to know what comes next, we need her. So why ask me? Sasuke turned to face Naruto, and instantly didn't like the grin on the other man's face. What? Well, bringing her back requires a bit of prep. I have to go and retrieve a body. Uchiha Madara's to be exact. Blinking, Sasuke put a finger to his ear and wiggled it around some. Pulling it free and flicking away some wax, he turned to Naruto again. Sorry, could you repeat that? There was something crazy in my ear. I have to grave rob Uchiha Madara's body in order to prepare a vessel for Kaguya's return. Nope, still doesn't compute. Say that one more time. Oh, don't be an ass. Hearing someone tell you they have to dig up the body of a long-lost ancestor once considered a living calamity is not something normal people would be used to. Seeing Naruto level bored eyes his way, Sasuke shrugged. Yes, I know you and I aren't normal. But the point stands. Sure it does. Naruto returned to looking out over the lake while Sasuke thought about things for a moment. Fireflies were beginning to make their way out, lighting up the lake shore all around them with pale green flickers of light. Sasuke finally grunted and leaned back on his hands. Is this a good idea? Probably not. But if there is a bigger threat on the way beyond Kaguya, we need to know. That's true. Sasuke sighed, deciding to come clean about something here and now. After hearing about all of this, I do admit that I've been feeling different lately. Like something at your core has been slowly eroding away. Sasuke's eyes were instantly on Naruto. Did he know? Of course he did. Damned sage. More like, something integral to my humanity is slipping away. A dry chuckle left Naruto's throat. I don't know how much of our humanity is really left after all of this. You were never human to begin with. You explosion maniac. Hush, you'll probably start growing horns or something stupid like that. Both young men again shared another laugh before settling down. Naruto with a contemplative look on his face as he considered his brother. You can sit this fight out, you know. You still have a clan to rebuild, and don't have any heirs on the way just yet. Shut it. You were there for me with Itachi. You were willing to sacrifice everything before you secured your clan. I can do the same. Sasuke shrugged as Naruto gave him a disgruntled look. If I have to give up what little humanity I have left, so be it. Besides, here Sasuke made eye contact with Naruto, eyes swirling into his eternal Mangekyo. I made a promise to burn down the world if it kept my loved ones safe. So I'm in it till the end, brother. Better not regret this. Only thing I would regret is sitting back and watching you take this on alone. You're such a good little brother. You're only a few months older than me, don't get cocky. Sure thing, little bro. I'm never calling you big bro. You just did. You know what I mean, you ass. Nope, nope. That's in my memory forever. I'll treasure it. I'm gonna sick Naruto on you when she gets back. Naruto began to pout. You wouldn't. Seeing Sasuke smirk as his eyes bled back into his usual black, Naruto pouted more. She's a spore. Don't tempt her. Giggling reaches their ears, a quiet Sakura joining them on the bank to sit between them as she slung her arms around both of their waists. What is it with you both and trying to leave me out of things? Sasuke sighed, letting the brawler hug him tightly. Sakura. Nope, don't you Sakura me. I know plotting when I see it. So whatever craziness you're about to get into, I'm in. Shaking his head, Naruto looked past her to Sasuke. Can't you, I don't know, put your wife to bed properly? The swat to his head could have been avoided, but he didn't feel like ending up in the lake. Oh fuck off, Naruto. I've been by your sides every step of the way where I could be. You aren't leaving me behind this time. Short hair swaying in the breeze, Sakura nodded her head firmly once to the blonde. I get you both are world-ending levels of strong, but I'm no slouch either. Here she pulls back, a large book appearing from somewhere to be held up for Naruto's inspection. It was an Uzumaki tome if he had to guess by the large family crest on its front. Plus, I've been doing more reading myself. So, wanna bring me up to speed on just what the hell a jubi is? Naruto again turns to Sasuke and shrugs. Your call. Is it really? The pinch to his thigh was enough of an answer, and he began to fill Sakura in on everything they knew up to now. Including the possibility that Kaguya wouldn't be the end of things. Huh, well, I'm up for a little grave robbing. Because from the sound of it, you both are going to have to trade. Seeing Naruto and Sasuke give her confused looks, Sakura grinned. Finally, Naruto is going to need the Sharingan, and Sasuke is going to need the Rinnegan. Duh. Sasuke turned to Naruto, did you know that? News to me. Sakura preened and smirked, that's why I'm the brains of the operation and you both are my lackeys. Naruto relaxed finally, laying back on the grass to stare up into the sky. You know what, yeah. I'll leave all the planning up to you, Sakura. Let me focus on blowing things up for a while. Sasuke nodded, doing the same on Sakura's other side. I like that idea. Thinking isn't my strong suit either. Wait a minute, you slackers. Get back up, this is a team effort. Team 7 would spend a few more hours planning and solidifying themselves before turning in. Tomorrow would be a busy day, and they needed to secure the future. Not just for themselves, but for everyone the world over. Time to save the world. It was early in the land of whirlpools, the sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon and with it the early day workers and commuters. Already the first wave of trains was steaming up, while the trolley cars rang their bells to signal their fares. A typical start for the island nation and its capital city. Though in its main tower, a different sort of start was underway. Naruto had gathered the ninja members of his family along with Team 7 and the Suna siblings. His office was certainly crowded, but this was an announcement that he only wanted to make once. Plus, Gaara had mentioned that he needed to be underway early today. Gaara was standing before his desk, a satisfied grin on his face while a tired-looking Kankuro mumbled about wanting to stay. With no threat from Iwa, it seems to be best if we return to Suna. We have out-injured to take care of as well. Sighing but understanding, Naruto nodded in agreement. I appreciate the assist, Gaara. It looks like we'll have some time before Kumo thinks to try anything, so we should be good from here. Reaching out across his desk, Naruto firmly shakes Gaara's hand. Take care of yourself, huh? I'll come and visit you next time. You better. And bring Temari back in one piece. The way Temari had claimed a spot on one of Naruto's couches next to a tired-looking Ino and Kotohime was more than enough sign that she didn't plan on leaving. She'd be back to traveling between the two villages soon enough, but for now there was bonding to be done. No little surprises though, okay. Temari chuckled, oh, it won't be a surprise. Kankuro and Naruto both sighed at the same time, while Gaara started to drag his older brother towards the door. Take care, Azukage. You yourself, Kazekage. Naruto and group watched the pair leave, before all eyes turned back to Naruto. Now for the not fun part. Ino of course could see his reluctance. So, you've got us all up early for an announcement. We taking bets on what this may be. Hinata walked over to sit in one of the vacated chairs while Sasuke and Sakura leaned against the rear windows. Maybe a small trip. We haven't had one in a while. Though the last one had been interrupted, it had still been amazing. Watching Tayuya sit on one edge of his desk quietly, already somewhat in the know, Naruto sighed and leaned back. Ino was already giving him the stink eye. I've got to take a short trip. Today. There was silence, until he dropped what was sure to set him off. Alone? Absolutely not. Hinata nearly surged to her feet in her haste. Irritation on her usually calm features. No way. What could be so important? Karen was the same, taking a step forward while next to her Honoka nodded along in agreement. We just got done defending ourselves from Iwa and Kumo together. What could be so important now? Kotohime usually gave Naruto the benefit of the doubt when it came to his plans. But just off from a conflict. What could be so urgent? Through the raised voices and chatter between the girls, Naruto turned sad eyes to a quiet Tayuya. He had already told her she would have the chair for a few days. Even still, he could feel the sadness radiating off of her along with everyone else. Kotohime was the first to clue in that Tayuya, usually the most loudly outspoken of them, was being very quiet. The girls around her going quiet, Kotohime pointed at the lightly muscled redhead, you know something. Seeing the girls gearing up into a real tear, Naruto raises a hand to stop them. I promised you all I would explain things when I had answers, didn't I? Seeing slow nods all around, Naruto sighs and begins to explain. Everything. From the plight of the Uzumaki and the Uchiha, to the now confirmed manipulation of not just the clans but entire nations. Further back, to what information he had about Kaguya and possibly, her clan of world enders. Anything and everything he had learned over the last few days he laid bare to them all. When he was done, there was even more silence. Naruto could see that all of the girls were thinking hard, some trying to rationalize it, while others looked to be trying their best to plan and consider things. Tayuya had shimmied down to his lap, taking comfort as he held her close. That she was willing to be so publicly soft in front of everyone told him enough about hers and the rest's mindsets. How did one fight a god? Could anyone fight a god? Honoka is the first to tentatively start things off. If you have to revive Kaguya, how can you possibly contain her? She's the beginning of everything related to chakra, right? Will anything we do even work on her? Naruto shrugged, she was sealed once. And that is our specialty. He had to put on a brave face here. Make it seem like Kaguya's threat was the lesser one. Even if he wasn't entirely sure if Uzumaki seals would work on her. Hinata sighed, hands rubbing her tummy slowly as she stared at her lap, to think now of all times. When will we ever catch a break? Kotohime leaned into Ino with a sigh, an arm coming around her shoulders while one hand of her own was rubbing her belly. We're Uzumaki. We don't get a reprieve. Karen looks to Naruto, eyes firm as she clinches her fists at her sides. Okay. So, what can we do? Naruto allowed his eyes to shift into the Rinnegan to better make his point clear. This next part one have to do. Retrieving the body of Uchiha Madara, while relatively easy, may have some complications. Naruto raised a hand to wave towards Sasuke and Sakura. These two are staying behind to watch over Azushio while I'm away. Nothing short of maybe B and hand together can take Sasuke down, so there shouldn't be anything to worry about. Sakura shrugged as she nudged Sasuke, I'm pretty sure I can put you down all alone. We're talking about in a fight. Aha. Sakura had a smug grin on her face as Sasuke turned to face her, try me. I'd rather not. Women are sneaky. Naruto shook his head at their antics but appreciated feeling some of the tension in the room fade away. The rest of you, I need you to continue things as normal for the most part. Though, Kotohime, Tayuya, Hinata, I'd prefer it if you stayed in the compound while I'm gone. I shouldn't have to explain why. All three of the currently pregnant women all exchanged glances with one another. It was Hinata who stood and bowed to him deeply. If that is what you wish, we'll stay within the walls and stay safe. Ino, however, held up a hand. Boo, I call bull on you doing this all alone. Naruto sucked his teeth. I just said this is a literal world-ending threat. I would feel much better if you're all here. Safe. Ino shook her head, standing with her arms crossed. No way. We promised to stay at each other's sides, didn't we? To take care of one another. For the good and bad. She turned to exchange nods with all of the girls, before turning back to Naruto. Someone needs to go and watch your back. And if you're so worried, two of us then. Scrubbing at his hair and nearly pulling his ponytail free, Naruto was starting to get frustrated. The family comes first. Then the city. I can take care of myself. Clearing her throat, Temari gained a smirk as she stood and came to stand next to Ino. Wheel, unlike the others, I'm not currently knocked up and I have nothing to do here while you're gone. So I can go with and watch your back. Ino agrees right away, coming over and slinging an arm over Temari's shoulders, and I'm currently free and healthy as well. I'm not integrated with the barrier teams like Karen and Honoka. Or knocked up like Kotohime, Tayuya or Hinata. Here she smirked and pointed a manicured finger at the exasperated-looking blonde leader. So looks like me and Temari are your shadows for this. Just in case. I'm trying to make sure nobody dies, damn it. Ino nodded, and were trying to make sure of the same Yubaka. Ready to launch into a well and truly long tirade, Naruto paused as Sasuke came forward and placed a hand on his shoulder. Looking up to his brother, Naruto sighed as Sasuke smirked but shook his head. Well shit. You know how this fight will end. Best not give them more ammo for later. Scrubbing his hair even harder as Tayuya giggled in his lap, Naruto finally gave up. Why did he have to fall in love with such headstrong women? And why did that make them that much hotter? Damn it all. We all come home alive and in one piece, get it? Temari chuckled and high-fived Ino. That's our line. Naruto grumbled some more as Tayuya kissed his cheek and worked herself up to stand. This is such a bad idea. There's no telling what may happen while we're gone. Tayuya finally spoke up, sauntering off to stand beside Ino and Temari. Either you take them or you don't leave at all. Here she turned back to face him, the others all standing to form up around them. That way, we face whatever comes all together, no matter the outcome. Naruto bit his tongue, wanting to say he would send him away to some far corner of the world, or even another dimension before he let that happen. Instead he just accepted it. They wanted to be by his side and he was loath to admit that it did make him feel a bit better. Alright, got it. Ino, Temari, you're with me. Naruto pushed his chair back to stand, looking at Sasuke and Sakura over his shoulder. Promise not to burn down my city while I'm gone. Sakura shrugged as Naruto walked towards his family. Might help revamp your main hospital or something. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy, she says. Shaking his head, Naruto takes in his family. These girls had a lock on his heart, each and every one in their own way. Much like Sasuke, he would end the world for them. Hell, probably bring everything back and burn it all to ash a second time if required. Ino and Temari move to stand on either side of him, while Naruto puts a smile on his face and he exchanges hugs with each girl one by one. I'll be back quickly. A day, two at the most. Hinata hugs him tightly on her turn, tears held firm but nearly falling. We will get through this. As a family. That's a promise. Naruto nodded. On my word, right. Your word is law, beloved. Kotohime sighed as he embraced her gently. 2 days, yes. Yup. Kotohime let him go. I can restrain my urges for 2 days. You'd best return quickly. Karen was next, kissing him hotly before backing away quietly. You idiot. Let us hope your good luck holds. Uzumaki luck is something, ain't it? Naruto chuckled as Honoka was next to hug him tightly. Embracing her in turn, he thought nothing of the quiet sob that left her. I'll be back. Everything will be alright. Can you promise that? Naruto nodded, backing away to stand between Ino and Temari. Naruto Uzumaki doesn't go back on his word, does he? Everything will be alright. Tayuya grinned, giving him a thumbs up. Then get going so you can hurry up and return. While we haven't seen any activity from Kumo, nor any word about B, I'd still rather not give them a window for trouble. Naruto wrapped arms around Ino and Temari's waists. Understood. Back in a flash. I love you all. And then they were gone, a muted flash seeing 'em off. Sighing and taking a moment to collect herself, Tayuya eventually started to walk towards Naruto's desk. The sun was beginning to rise, which meant the real day was about to begin. I'm getting real tired of all these once-in-a-lifetime events happening so often. I want like a year, no, 5, of just boring normal life. Sakura chuckled as Sasuke huffed and shuffled to take up a spot on one of the couches. Welcome to the lunacy of Team 7 and magical ninja bullshit. Enjoy your stay. Sasuke shook his head. We aren't magical. You sure as hell aren't normal ninja. Hinata sighed, hugging herself for a moment before hopping in place once and slapping her cheeks. Gaining everyone's attention, she turned determined eyes towards the remaining group. I'll be returning. Kotohime, join me. Coming to stand next to the shorter woman who they all considered head wife, Kotohime offered her a smile. It was Beloved's wish. Let's return home and keep an eye on the compound while he is away. Facing Tayuya, who took Naruto's chair, Hinata smirked. Go ahead and forward all interclan issues and communications my way from now on. I'll work from home. Tayuya waved him off. Got it. Give Kikyo and the others an update, would you? And let's not go nuts. He says he'll only be gone a day or two. Let's not jinx it. Karen taps a finger to Hinata's shoulder. I think I'll return with you. Best to stay near the clan and watch over things. Chuckling and shaking her head, Tayuya eyed up Karen. To think we finally found a way to get you out of your basement. Naruto would be foaming at the mouth right now. Rolling her eyes as the three girls embrace, Karen gives her the finger. Naruto has better ways of keeping me out of the basement. And then they were gone, leaving the remainder alone in the office. Honoka was the next to turn towards the door. I think I'll take a stroll to the barrier group and then check on the basement and Kabuto. After that I'll return. I think it's best to remain close at hand for now. Tayuya appreciated that. Thanks. I'm far along enough that my chakra is stable once more, but still. Don't wanna test it. Winking at her co-wife, Honoka was out of the door. I'll be back soon. Taking the other side of the couch and pulling free a book on medical practices written by Tsunade herself, Sakura sighed and settled in for a hopefully boring day. We'll be keeping close at hand until Naruto returns. He was serious about us watching over Azushio while he is away. Sasuke nodded, laying out with his head in Sakura's lap ready to take a nap. Anyone shows up, they're getting a Susanoo-powered Amaterasu to the face. Tayuya was already gearing herself up to attend to her duties. Leave it to Naruto's longest friends to clear the air completely in his absence. Let's hope it stays boring then. Once more she considered Uzumaki's luck, and hoped Naruto's own good fortune would rub off on the rest of them. She certainly didn't want to jinx anything. Leaning forward, she pressed the button for the intercom. Yugito, you there? Yes, Lady Uzumaki. Their resident Jinchuriki defector sure sounded chipper. Lucky her. Let's run through things quickly. I don't want to spend all day here. Yes, ma'am. B. Tsunade could feel every day weigh on her just a bit more than the one before it. Was the hospital coming up to her standards easily enough? Oh sure. Was the council being on its best behavior ever since Danzo's retirement? Absolutely. And yet, as her window creaked open with all the subtlety of a hammer through fine china, there was always some new stress. Please tell me you have good news. Jiraiya chuckled as he relaxed in the window sill, twirling a pen between dexterous fingers. I'd consider me being alive some good news. Debatable. Orheim, what about that hot springs trip? Ya know, that thing I do with my. Finish that sentence, and they'll never find the body. Rolling his eyes, Jiraiya pulled free his notebook and tossed it into her waiting hands. Am is sitting this one out. Pain specifically is going to wait and see what Naruto does. He thinks Naruto is going to go off the deep end, but I've convinced him that there might be a better way. Tsunade hummed thoughtfully, going through his notes with a careful eye. Am had been caught in between multiple wars at this point. She had always assumed that they had never reached out for help due to pride. But now she was seeing that it was more that everyone seemed to forget about them. So, you offered Konoha's resources in order to build goodwill between our nations. Grin firmly in place, Jiraiya shook his head. Correction. I offered Konoha's resources with no real strings attached. If they still hate us afterwards, well, so be it. That brought Tsunade up short. turning in her chair to fully stare at the old goat who was her teammate. You're serious? Seeing his grin still firmly in place, Tsunade sighed and leaned back in her seat, a hand coming up to message her temples. Of course you are. I'll suppose it isn't a bad idea. Even if Am still hates us afterwards, it'll put other nations in a bind. Either they'll have to offer help as well to not fall behind or watch as potentially Am and Fire come together. TSK Tsunade, you're thinking in the old ways still. Jiraiya held out his hands as he relaxed a bit more. This is about changing how we do things. War isn't the name of the game. We're looking to build relationships. Bring peace. End this nightmare of bloodshed. It isn't about who's going to be on top in the end. And yet, not everyone thinks like you or me. But the number skews our way a little more every day. Jiraiya finally stood, as Tsunade turned back to her desk. Then he was behind her, gently working her shoulders and getting an appreciative sigh out of her for his troubles. This is a good thing. I promise. Am will come around, and at least that's one more player off the board. Refusing to admit that she had been worried and had missed the big oath, Tsunade accepted his ministrations for a short moment. Now to just get the council on board with raising funds. We're finally about to make our last payment to the Uzumaki. A goodwill mission might be a hard sell. Feeling someone coming, Jiraiya retreated back to the window, taking pride in the moan of regret from the woman. Either way, this is for everyone's future. Hard sell or not, it keeps things peaceful. Says you. There was a knock at her door and Tsunade straightened herself up. Enter. Door opening, Tsunade and Jiraiya were met with a flash of pearly teeth. Good morning Hokage-sama. Team Guy reporting for duty. Behind the ever-cheerful Guy was a tired-looking Kiba, while Shino had his hands stuffed in his jacket and Lee nearly bounced on his toes. Tsunade nodded and rooted about her desk. Thanks Guy. Not something urgent, but I have a mission that I'd like completed quickly. Here she pulled free a half-meter storage scroll and tossed it to her Jonin. That is for the Uzumaki clan. You are to head to Azushio and present that to the Azukage. Our last payment. Guy saluted smartly. It shall be done quickly and efficiently. And if not, I shall repent by walking between Konoha and Azu 5 times, with boulders tied to my back. Lee holds up a clenched fist, eyes streaming tears while Shino and Kiba both sighed heavily, truly inspiring Guy-sensei. Why, if we should fail, I shall complete your task with you, with twice the weight. Your youth burns strongly Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. Tsunade slammed both hands down on her desk, rattling the entire office and preventing any manly embraces from happening. Keep that up and I'm tossing both of you idiots into the monument. Get out of here. Guy saluted again before turning to leave with his team. We shall be back within the week Hokage-sama. Rolling his eyes as the team left, Jiraiya chuckled at Tsunade's frustration. So, how does retirement sound? That an offer to take my place? 'Cause I have a beachside condo with my name on it and grandkids to soon spoil the hell out of. Tsunade had to hand it to the little brat. He sure worked fast. Good for him. Me in control of the ninja forces. Does that mean I can set a dress code? Why do I love you again? I must have brain damage. It's 'cause I'm good at what I do. I'm going to bash your face in. It'll be a wonderful way to go, Heim. It was sure good to be home. Shokiro considered just how easy it was to return to Kumogakure and nearly wept. It was all but impossible for any of them to leave on their own, but getting in. With his chakra forcible repressed and only practical effects needed for his disguise, the gate guards were none the wiser. Even more, this high up in the mountains as they were Kumo was used to monks using their village as a pilgrimage site. So his first day here had been easy enough. Set himself up as his disguise required in a smaller and nearly abandoned temple, and spend his days wandering the city and offering prayers to any who asked. There were few takers, but it was okay. Access to all corners of the city was all he was really after. After all, setting up a barrier was long work. Shokiro had considered just annihilating Kumo off the map day one, knowing that everyone here was either a ninja, affiliated with the ninja, or supported them nearly 100%. That said, some part of him wanted to find some redemption in this place. Someone who could prove they could change. Today turned all of those thoughts to ash. Taking a bit of a rest in the village center, resting against the fountain there while considering the next point he needed to inspect to set up a barrier relay, on this day he spotted someone he thought he would never see again. Bright red hair on display, dusky skin contrasting with the dusty surroundings, Shockhero set eyes on one of the few Uzumaki children to make it out of the pens. Karui looked healthy enough, except for the dark bags under her eyes. She did not look like she had been sleeping well lately. Well, if anyone in the village might be persuaded, maybe it would be her, an Uzumaki. Standing with a groan, he shuffled his way towards the tired-looking woman. Karui had not been having a great time of things since returning. While Lord Kazekage had said her probation would be short, he hadn't said what her return to duty would look like. When Omoi had been selected to return to Azushio to complete the mission, she had assumed she would be included as well. That was not to be, of course. No, she was Kumo's last remaining Uzumaki, and considered much too valuable to be risked. Instead, she had been given an option. Well, that was a strong statement in itself, she considered. Her team had been captured and her partner had returned unharmed from a nation that loved the Uzumaki nearly to the point of worship. Interrogators didn't come out and say outright that she was possibly responsible, but it was there. She understood the threats. So, they had given her a choice. Check into the pens herself, or willingly take a partner. So was little sleep available these days, but if it would prove that she was still a loyal ninja of Kumo, then so be it. This was her home, who she was loyal to. She would not yield before this task. At least Darui was the gentle sort. She nearly missed the monk joining her as she walked through the market. You look troubled, young one. Care to release some burdens? Pausing and turning to the man, she considered if she knew him before dismissing it outright. No, why would she know a monk? Especially one as old and frail looking as this one. I don't think you can shoulder these ones, old man. Shockhero shrugged, cool eyes sliding over their surroundings before landing back on her. I am old, little lady. I have seen and done many things. Perhaps I can provide perspective you have yet to consider. Perspective, huh? Karui knew enough about that these days. But she decided to walk with the monk anyway. Weren't they the ones who only spoke to those that needed it? And kept secrets to the grave? Well, she could vent, if only a little. Maybe. Karui looked down to the dirt as they walked along, leaving the market district as she returned home. She wanted to see her bed and sleep for a solid 8 hours finally. I think, what does it take to make a good shinobi? A typical worry of the military forces, no matter the time period. I would assume, dedication to doing what is just and right, while also following orders to the best of your ability. Yeah, but, how much sacrifice is too much? Karui sighed as she considered that she didn't want to be a mother so soon. But her only saving grace might be that Lord Rakage might return with some of the breeders that were stolen. At least then she might be allowed to return to duty. No. If you knew you were only here to provide one thing, would it be enough to exist just for that? Ah, so she was a child of the program then, not one of the few captured. Dreadful. You are human, to want more is natural and healthy. There is always another choice, another path one can take. Shockhero wanted to see this girl free of this place. She was an Uzumaki, surely she wanted to be free. But, what if you don't want more? Karui turned to face the stooped old man, listening to his staff jingle as the street they were on was much more deserted. I'm a good Kumo shinobi. I would die for Kumo. Can't that be enough? Oh, no. Is dying to prove your worth necessary to you? Can you not consider another life anywhere else? This was a bit freeing. Nice even. No. I love Kumo. I would not be here if not for it and its ninja. I guess I just need reassurance that I'm doing the right thing. If I'm willing to die, what's sacrificing my body for a short time? Karui huffed and gave a small smile. That was right after all, this was only temporary. She would return to the ninja ranks and show them all that she was the most loyal of them all. Every village is the same anyway. Wouldn't the greatest sin be to betray the trust instilled in me? Shockhero could see the hope re-enter the girl's eyes and nearly wept. But, he could see that this was a life she wanted, not that it had much longer anyway. But, best to let her have peace in the end. So long as you have come to terms with what you want in life, no one can take that from you. There are always other paths, other lives we can make. But finding value in the life one has is up to them. No one can decide for you what you wish to do. Shockhero paused, letting Karui pull away from him for a few paces before sighing, there is always another path. But Nirvana is realizing you can find peace on any one of them. Karui turned back to the old man, nodding to him, yeah. Ah, thanks old man. I didn't realize I needed that. Tilting her head as the feeling of recognition washed over her again, the redhead frowned just a bit. Have we met before? No, child. You and I have never met. But maybe we will again in the next life. Turning away, Shokiro considered the next barrier point to place. There were only a few more left to add and this wretched village would be gone. He didn't bother to watch Karui turn and renew her walk with a new spring in her step, or worry over just what Kumo was doing with her. She had obviously made peace with whatever it was, so far be it from him to steer her off the course. They were ninja and had all chosen this life, both for the good, and the inevitable bad end. Now, to finish one last mission. Naruto grunted as the path before them began to open up. While the location had been given to him, he could only get so close with a Haration. Which meant they had been traveling by the Treetop Express since then. Ino and Temari both together learned that they could team up near perfectly to push his buttons with mixed results. Case in point as the tree cover gave way to a wide but misty valley, forcing them to pause and consider their options. Temari was to his left, grabbing his attention and leaning forward a bit. So, where is this? Ever been here before? Resting her arms on her battlefan at her back, it pushed out her chest and did interesting things to her kimono. Naruto twitched and turned to the misty valley. Don't know the real name. Zetsu called it the resting place. There's a cave down there we need to find. Just what he needed, stuck in small enclosed places with two hot women. When you say it like that, I worry about your sanity. Kurama was right. Why the hell was he going to complain? Keep close. I don't feel any other human chakra signatures down there. But there's definitely something alive down there. Ino shrugged, stretching her arms above her head and pushing her chest out. Two could play this game, it's just good to get out of the city for a bit. Even with everything going on, we have a plan and that's all I need to feel better. Another twitch from Naruto had Ino smirking. Good, he wasn't too focused on the threat. At least his mental state was doing better. Naruto started to hop down the grassy incline down into the valley, wondering at why all the trees stopped at the valley's edge. Can you too? I don't know, not be horny for half a day. We need to focus. Ino giggled, oh we can focus on the mission and you at the same time. Temari shrugged as she followed along with Ino, besides, how are you so sure we're having naughty thoughts? Naruto turned to look at both of them. One of my sage abilities is emotional sensing, in case you both forgot. Ino hadn't, but Temari hadn't blushed at being caught. Whoops. Ino instead had a different route, going full bore ahead instead. While she wasn't looking for a little one yet, some one-on-one time with Naruto would be nice. Plus, she was trying to keep him in a good mood. Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck. Naruto threw his hands up as his lewd wife nearly exploded with hormones. Oh damn it all Ino. Well wasn't that a rush? Turning and pulling her into his arms, Naruto locked eyes with her. I will do anything and everything you want when we finish this. Got it. Be a good girl until then. Mind instantly frazzled and blushing up a storm at the sudden turn, Ino nodded dumbly, yes husband. Temari paused with them, blushing as Naruto let Ino go and stalked away. Kami that was hot. Both girls rushed to catch back up with him, though the wind user leaned over to Ino, so what's the plan here? Shuddering and promising to get another reaction like that out of him later, Ino leaned towards Temari as well, for now. Keep his mind off of this Kaguya business as much as possible. He's stressed much more than I've ever seen him. And I don't like it. Humming and agreeing with the assessment, Temari could see that Ino was much more on the ball than she had thought. Okay, I'll follow your lead. Guessing the others are of the same idea. Seeing Ino nod as the group dived into the fog, Temari sighed. I finally get to be here full time, and we're already going through something crazy. Naruto didn't look back, but was beginning to circulate chakra through his body. Gonna clear the air, hold on. With a clap of his hands together, wind picked up around them before blowing away all of the mists. The sight that greeted them had all three blinking quietly. Birds took flight from roosts along the ground and from the rock walls from the rear of the valley. But it was what sat at the valley's center that had their attention. Temari had to admit, Uzumaki luck was certainly something. Is that a giant dragon skeleton? It was curled around itself, like it had maybe passed in its sleep. Well, if not for the equally massive hole in its skull between two horns. I'll be damned. Ino sighed and turned to Naruto. Somehow I shouldn't be surprised dragons are real. Didn't you say you felt something alive down here? Yup. But that thing is very dead. If you say so. Naruto started walking while girls hustled to catch up. Temari shuddered. It has to be dead, right? Ino shrugged. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. Somehow, I wouldn't be either. I fought the spirit of one. Well, fight was a strong word. Curb stomped is a better description. Point. Naruto paused, for while the skeleton offered no real cover or protection, he could just make out an opening in the ground under its head. Maybe. Uchihas were such drama queens. Somewhere far away, Sasuke and Sakura sneezed together. Guess this is it. Naruto led the way, taking note that already the mists were beginning to roll back in towards them. Seals at work. Or just nature. Temari couldn't keep her eyes off of the proof that a beast from legend was very real. Think Madara killed this thing. Idly her hand strayed to her fan, taking comfort from the weapon being there. Naruto shrugged. All told, Madara sounded like the type to try and tame one. Though if he failed, well yeah, he'd probably kill it just so no one else could try. The mists were closing in, but they were here under the dragon's snout. The cave entrance was an outcrop of rock jutting out from the ground, but it was pure darkness beyond the entrance. Keep close to me, let's not get separated. Right. Both girls answered in unison as Naruto's body began to glow as his sage cloak formed. Following him inside as the mists rolled in behind them, they sure hoped nothing awaited them in the darkness below. Temari rubbed her arms, shuffling in place as she and Ino followed the glowing Naruto down into the cave below the skeleton of a dragon. Wasn't that a loop? Dragons were real and apparently didn't ever really die. But damn, was it ever cold down here? I'm gonna freeze at this rate. Ino nodded. I'd kill for pants. While the skirt was cute and fashionable, built for warmth it was not. Looking back at him, seeing both Temari and Ino suffering the same issue, Naruto paused to turn around and face them. Oh, I can warm you up. Temari blinked as Naruto gained a smirk, walking towards her with a determined look. Wait, hold on. I know Ino was teasing you, BBB, but this isn't the time. I need to ready my heart. She froze as Naruto placed a hand on both hers and Ino's shoulders. In an instant warmth filled her and her body began to glow gold much like Naruto's. Oh, that's a nifty trick. Leaning in, he pecked the surprised Temari on the lips before turning to walk back the way they were headed. Keep your mind out of the gutter, Mari. We'll have fun later. Ino nudged her shoulder as she walked by, and I thought I was dirty. This was neat, all this chakra and Naruto had who knew how much more to spare. Girl could get drunk off this. Shaking her head as she continued on after them, Temari enjoyed the new warmth. This is your fault. And don't think I don't realize what you're trying to do, Ino. Shrugging and following Naruto's back, Ino ran a hand along the narrow cave wall. There was chakra here. A lot of chakra. It's also alive. What is this? Probably why Madara chose to die here. Either that or it's because of him. Naruto let his Rinnegan come forth, piercing the darkness ahead of them. No traps so far. Temari wondered at that, picking apart the puzzle that was the situation. Would you consider trapping your resting place when no one in the world even knows where you were? Considering that was sound logic, Naruto decided that he would absolutely trap his body. And everyone else's. Absolutely, rather not end up brought back to life by some idiot looking to take over the world. Naruto ducked under a lowered ceiling, making sure both of the girls didn't hit their heads before continuing on the downward slope. Ino giggled. You talk like you're gonna turn into a final boss from a video game. I mean, Naruto motioned to his own body up and down once with a hand, before Ino huffed. Maybe Sakura is right. Magical ninja bullshit. Naruto pauses the group, the tunnel brightening with blue light as they come up to a wall of glowing rock. The surface almost looking liquid. Well, that's something. It was a shifting blue and green color that was almost enchanting. But Naruto could see a truly massive amount of seals shifting under its surface. That looked painful. Ino was reaching out, wanting to feel it for herself. It's so pretty. She paused as Naruto held up a hand. Trap. Yup. Hold on. Holding out a hand, Naruto's eyes flashed once before the wall before them began to dissolve. Not really a liquid, but certainly not a solid. They all watched the material seep into the floor. Cool. He had to give that a go sometime. As they continued on, Ino pondered over that. What would have happened if I had touched that? Ever wanted to know what it was like to become one with the earth? Naruto could feel both girls' confusion, so he simplified it. It would have absorbed you and added you to its matrix to power itself nearly forever. And I bet super painful the whole way. Naruto nodded. That goes without saying. Yeah, I'll pass. Temari looks back towards where the barrier was, a curious look on her face. I don't know, sounds useful. Naruto holds up a hand as they come to another barrier, breaking it down with the same ease as before. I don't even want to think about it. Stepping past this last barrier, the trio came upon an open chamber, glowing in the same soft blue-green light that the barriers had been. The space wasn't large, maybe as big as his old apartment in Konoha. What they found against the back wall was what had their attention. Is that? Holy shit. Naruto nodded with a feral grin. Let me introduce, Madara Uchiha. Constant pain in the ass to Hashirama Senju, and the strongest of the Uchiha clan. Period. The living human calamity. Former at least. Ino crossed her arms as Naruto walked up to the husk set into the wall. So I have to ask. Why were you so insistent that we get to Madara's body so quickly? Standing before the preserved body of the Uchiha heir and descendant of Kaguya, Naruto sighed. This wouldn't be a fun one. I was worried. Zetsu was working towards collecting the Biju quickly. I didn't want to take a chance that something worse than Kaguya was coming soon. I wanted the option to be able to bring her back at a moment's notice. Temari raised a single eyebrow. So now that you have Madara. Naruto released a scroll, working quickly to seal away Madara's body before turning back to the girls. Now besides Killer Bee's chakra, I should be able to bring back the goddess at any time. Ino stepped forward, a smirk on her face. So, about that. Where is Zetsu, exactly? Naruto had been cagey about that. She smelled a secret. Whoops. He hadn't admitted that he was playing with time and space again, had he? No, you didn't, Barker. I blame you. Blame me all you wish, it's your fault. And your funeral. Ino was suddenly in Naruto's personal space, very soft chest pressing against his own. About that. Why did she have to be so hot? Whoops. Ino held his gaze, poking him in the chest. Explain. Pocket dimension that I can control, which has no concept of time unless I am present. Naruto could feel nervousness in his heart. Temari joined the other blonde woman, pressing herself against the Azukage. So, hypothetically, we could drop into a pocket dimension for as long as we wished. Naruto wanted to back away, but realized he had nowhere to go. Switching between Temari's teal eyes and Ino's blue eyes was doing something to him. How about, once all of this is over and done, I'll show you how it works. Ino nodded quickly, pulling away with a smirk on her face. I can accept that. Temari shrugged. Gives me time to adjust, I suppose. Shaking his head, Naruto pulls free and tosses a Hiraishin tag to stick to the ceiling. And done. Time to return home. Ino considered things before snapping her fingers. I thought this was supposed to be dangerous. I was being cautious. I didn't know what we would find here. Temari looked around before holding out her arms. Enough stored chakra to probably power a nation for centuries. Traps that would have pulled us apart by the atom. Ino did have to consider that, but you also undid those in like an instant. You wanna go up and fight the dragon? Temari paused as Ino violently shook her head. Wait, it's dead right. You were joking, right? She watched as Naruto walked up to pick her up. Please tell me you're joking. Oh, his arms were firm. So many muscles. Ino placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Somehow, I don't think he is. Plus, I have the Hiraishin. I can be anywhere in an instant. Azushio is never in danger so long as I am free and alive. Naruto grinned as he extended out his senses. Let's return home with this desert rose. Blushing, Temari felt light. That was corny. In the next breath they were back in Naruto's office with Ino grinning at her. He's full of those. But at least they were home and nothing was on fire. Always a plus. Naruto turned back to Tayuya, arms still full of Temari. We're back. See, it was quick. Even though he really wanted to go back and fight the dragon. Later, after the women are asleep. Sounds like a plan to me. B. If there was a minor complaint Shockero had for Kumo, it was that getting used to the high altitude had always been impossible for him. The thin air probably made for amazing training for the ninja, but for his old bones, well, it was a good thing he wasn't expected to fight at all today. He had decided Kumo was going to be wiped off the map, but part of the decision weighed on him. Children. It was the bigger reason why Naruto spared Iwa. Children shouldn't suffer the failings of their parents. However, Shockero was older. Had watched Uzushio burn. Had watched women and children, his own at that, put to the sword all in the name of conquest. What of their peace? Why weren't they considered by their enemies? What of the few that were taken away, carted far and wide to suffer in programs much like Kumo's own? Shaking himself as his mind tried to go in circles, Shockero reminded himself that Kumo didn't deserve mercy. The ghosts of the fallen cried out for justice, for vengeance. Lord Naruto had given him discretion in this task, so he would use it. Naruto would want to at least offer Kumo a chance, so Shockero could do that. After all, Naruto didn't want Uzushio to be like Kumo. And neither did Shockero. Of course, that didn't mean their chance couldn't be weighed heavily towards their own destruction. With a grin as the sun reached its zenith, he placed a hand down on the fountain he had been resting on. A small amount of chakra activated seals, lines of power arcing away to several seals he had placed all along the village's walls. There were cries of alarm from people all over the market as a few were unfortunately zapped by the chakra, but Shockero had to focus to direct chakra he could not directly control. A dome of blue and red energy rose from the walls of Kumo, rising to completely engulf the village and mountaintop, locking everyone inside and keeping out some lucky civilians who had been at the gate. Alarms rang out, civilians ran to their homes while Kumo's ninja forces took to the rooftops. Several ninja easily found the seals along the walls, and yet, none knew how to remove them. A few unlucky souls attempted to anyway, only to be pulled screaming into the barrier, bodies broken down into pure chakra as their comrades watched on in horror. As the chaos and screams filled the air, Shockero watched it all, the chakra lines that had radiated out from him fading away, all except for a single seal that began to glow on his chest, a simple design of a pulsing blue spiral. Though that wouldn't last either, slowly growing into something truly massive that would take over most of his body. Taking his staff in hand and waiting, it didn't take long for a sensor type to lock in on him, before more ninja began to surround him. Well, at least they hadn't killed him right off the bat. A rather burly blonde man corded in muscle was stalking towards the monk, scowl on his face as he pointed at the intruder. You. What have you done? Release this barrier or die. Shockero blinked while his smile never left his face. Me. Why? Killing me won't help you. He let himself be picked up by the front of his robes. In fact, you might just be in more danger threatening me. So saying, the man was electrocuted, body convulsing as screams died in his throat. Shockero dusted himself off and watched the meathead die twitching and gurgling on the ground with bloody foam coming from his mouth. Shockero turned to the dozen or so ninja that had surrounded him. Bring me someone in charge. I have orders for them. Watching them waver while many backed away from him put a good feeling in his chest. Darui had been having a decent morning. It was supposed to be peaceful while I was away, and he had sworn to keep the village in one piece while the rakeage was gone. And now this. Some intruder had locked the village down, no one could get in or out and they didn't even know why. Not that Kumo didn't have a shortage of enemies at this point. Just my luck. Behind him and trying to keep up, Mabui took in the barrier that shifted and boiled above them. It's a work of truly masterful seals. Easy guess is Uzumaki origin. Tell me something I don't know already, Mabui. Darui grunted as they touched down in the market. They could already see a circle of ninja ahead of them, and a couple dead lay on the ground. No visible wounds, but broken bones and joints. He turned back to his other shadow who he had been with when the emergency started. Stay out of the way but close. We may need you. Karui nodded quietly. Yes sir. Was she going to be blamed for this? Of course she would. Damned Uzumaki blood. The crowd parts, Darui in the lead with a hand on his sword. What is the meaning of this? Eyeing the bald monk standing before them, he considers his options. Did you do this? My what impressive deductive reasoning. Top marks. Shockero chuckled lightly before sighing and leaning on his staff. I'm only offering this once, so listen and listen well. Darui raised an eyebrow, sword edging out just a millimeter. You think to give us orders? When the fate of your village hangs in the balance. Yes. Yes I do. Eyeing the redhead just behind Darui, Shockhero smirked internally as a dark idea entered his mind. I'll keep this simple. Round up your children and one civilian adult for every 20 of them. They will be allowed to leave peacefully. So long as that happens, we can talk about what happens next. Would Kumo become a vassal much as Iwa had? Whispers in his mind screamed against the idea, and he had to agree silently. Huffing, Darui waves a hand to the crowd of ninja around them, counter-offer. We take your head and figure out how to drop the barrier. It might take some time, but they could figure this out. Bowing to this trash was out of the question. I can feel it, you have no chakra of your own. You're no threat to us. Then, a warning. Shockhero thrust his staff into the ground, before pulling his arms free of his robes. The top fell, revealing a massive seal that crossed his body, while his family crest pulsed at his heart. You should know a deadman switch when you see one, yes. Well, that was a problem. Damned Uzumaki. Why? What is this about? You're going to lock us in here and do what? We'll kill you for this eventually. He wasn't the Azukage after all. No one else had such destructive potential. Kumo has committed numerous sins, and the Reaper is here to collect. Shockhero takes his staff in hand again, the rings chiming and shaking in his grasp. I've given you a chance to live for a time, do as I say. The children and their minders will be allowed to leave as refugees to the land of hot water or another settlement close by if they choose. You can't expect us to separate our children from their parents like that. No. Surely we can come to a different understanding, yes. Aren't you Uzumaki all about understanding and redemption? Darui had read their profile on the Azukage. A bleeding heart through and through. He had mellowed out recently. Though he had the capabilities to destroy villages, he refused to. He was, in a word, weak. Shockhero shrugged. You're human. I expect you to exercise your free will. Do as you wish. I have laid down my terms. Mabui leans forward, eyes on Shockhero but turned towards Darui. The Uzumaki respect their blood above all else. Their seals do not work against other Uzumaki. Sir. Good catch. Darui motioned Karui forward, a smirk on his face. We could always kill you with her. You Uzumaki always take care not to kill one another. Karui looked between the dead bodies on the ground and back to Shockhero. To think the monk she had talked to the other day had been an intruder. If only she had caught him then. Sir. If I order it, take my weapon and kill him. Pierce his heart. Prove you are a loyal Kumo Kunoiki. Sir. Her mind flies into a frenzy. Was she enough of an Uzumaki for this to work? Could she do it? Would this put her back in the good graces of the Reikage and end her duties as? Locking eyes on the girl, Shockhero's smile doesn't leave his face as he could see the turmoil behind those eyes. Think carefully about this girl. The fool tells the truth that Uzumaki seals to avoid other Uzumaki. Here he leans towards her mockingly, pointing a free finger at his chest. Will killing me give you what you want? Darui nods. She is a true Kunoiki of Kumo, you can't sway her. Here Darui unhooked his weapon from his belt, holding it out to Karui. Put him down, Karui. Yes, sir. Karui took the sword from Darui, drawing it and walking slowly towards Shockhero, and finally some recognition crossed her face. Old man Shockhero. I remember you now. Oh, do you, child? Does that sway your decision at all? Sadly, he remembered her mother. Poor woman had finally bitten off her own tongue when they took Karui away from her. The rest were fitted with muzzles after that. No, you should have stayed gone with the rest of the trash. Mabui takes this all in. The barrier above them, the calm that practically oozed off of Shockhero, the seal that pulsed with his heartbeat. Sir, maybe we should pause, consider things. Something isn't right. Darui turned to her slowly. Do you know something? No, just a feeling. It isn't right. Why is he so calm in the face of certain death? Darui watched her, eyes locking onto her own and seeing that she had a certainty that he currently didn't feel. Turning back to Karui, who had nearly reached Shockhero, Darui sighed. Karui, stand down. Except Karui couldn't hear him, mind buzzing with white noise as she kept her gaze on Shockhero. I'm a member of Kumo's elite forces. I've sacrificed everything for my people. I will see you dead, Uzumaki. She lunged, readying her strike. Shockhero grinned. Subtle genjutsu was so useful. Not always needed to give the target new sensations or illusions. Sometimes, just blocking out things was enough. Like a commander ordering you to stand down. I'm ready to die, little girl. Are you? Karui didn't see Darui order the others to grab her, or pay attention to several ninja already sprinting to stop her. Even if they were far too late. Her arm was already coming forward, years of training with the likes of Killer Bee honing her reflexes to a deadly edge. I will save my village with this tainted blood, and be redeemed as a loyal Kumo ninja. The sword pierced him easily, blood bursting from his back as Shokiro shuddered from her weight. See, this was a foolish endeavor. And yet, Shokiro was still smiling, blood coating his teeth and dribbling from his mouth. That's right though, you aren't an Uzumaki. Just a brainwashed little Kumo ninja. Shokiro's world fades as he finally allows himself to rest. He wondered if he'd get to see his wife and children, one last time before the Shinigami took him to hell. To the few onlookers at Kumo's gate, it was a terrifying scene to watch. Brick by brick, atom by atom, everything within the barrier began to pull inwards towards a dark sphere at its center and dissolve. There were screams, a tortured sound as matter came apart and reality was bent. Nothing was spared. The process was less than a minute, the barrier eventually turning fully black before with a clap of thunder the barrier shrank down to a ball no bigger than a meter that eventually faded away with a whisper. An entire village, gone in a breath. The top of the mountain carved out and a smoking crater, in which the remaining gate and path leading to it began to collapse into. The survivors fled, eventually spreading the word of what had happened. Kumo was no more, erased from existence. Settling back into his chair with a groan, Naruto accepted Tayuya reclaiming his lap with a sigh. His office was quiet, Temari and Ino sitting across from him at his desk while Sasuke and Sakura continued to be lazy in the provided couches under his weapon wall. Apparently Tayuya had been busy, wrapping up the pile-up of his work while he was away, even though it wasn't yet noon. You really wanted to get out of here, huh? Tayuya nodded. You wanted us all back at the compound, so I was going to retreat the first chance I got. Snuggling deeper into his chest, Tayuya hummed, even gave Yugito the rest of the day off. Last I heard she's headed to the beach with Simui. Naruto hummed at that, appreciating her efforts. Lucky them, maybe we can go join 'em later. A beach trip sounded good. Relaxation was sorely needed. Thanks for listening to me. I appreciate it. He had to make sure to tell them that from time to time. Best to not have misunderstandings. Well, we've got Madara's body so I feel better. Now to check in with Iwa and make sure they're being good, before I circle around to Kumo and have a word or two with the rakeage. Tayuya nodded and worked her way free, standing eventually next to his chair, think he'll listen to reason. That bore. No way, so I'll probably have to smack him around a little harder this time. Shokiro should have his village nice and locked up by now. Grunting and feeling something shift, Naruto holds up his left arm to pull down his jacket sleeve, a blue seal crawls around his wrist, a solid band with a single white spiral on top that held only one meaning for him. Never mind. Kumo is gone. Everyone in the room blinks at that, but it's Tayuya who places a hand on Naruto's shoulder. You knew Shokiro would have given him a chance. And knowing Kumo, they would have refused. Naruto sighed, before shaking himself free of worry. Kumo had a few lifetimes worth of sins to answer for. This was their fate. But, at least that means we don't have to worry about them anymore. So that's good news for us. Ino relaxed a bit in her chair, ignoring Temari who seemed to be heavy into thinking mode. Guess it's best to lay low, let things settle around the world, before issuing any type of statement. We should call Tsunade and Mei. Naruto nodded, yeah. Might flash out and let Kyuki know. She'll probably cut her trip short, or leave it to Shion and the others. It was Shion's homeland after all. She would still want to see stability secured there. Naruto still stared at the band around his wrist. Something was missing. Guess we can call Mei first, then Tsunade. Saying as much, he pressed a button on his desk as the monitor on the wall came alive. Tayuya sighed, sitting on the edge of the desk. Guess we can lower our readiness alert rating. Maybe. Something was tickling him as the phone rang. What had he forgotten? Wasn't there supposed to be some red in there? Mei's face appeared, all smiling and sultry to distract him for a moment. Hey Mei. Hello love. Nice of you to call. I'll assume since you aren't here this isn't the fun kind. Shaking his head, Naruto eyed her carefully. I had to get rid of Kumo. The entire village is a crater. That's. Seeing her eyes go wide in surprise, they all watched as May seemed to grapple with the news before a sad smile graced her features. I know you must have tried to negotiate. Does that mean the Raikage and Killer Bee have fallen as well? Wait, now he remembered what he'd forgotten. All at once all of their radios chimed at once, Naruto instantly keying his, "This is Mr. 9, report. Barrier Group reports a massive chakra signature moving through the waters of Azushio. It will make landfall in 30 minutes. Signature matches records, sir. It is the Jinchuriki Killer Bee." Naruto extended his own senses, everyone else in the room already standing and preparing themselves. There he was, Killer Bee. He hadn't been captured in the seal then. Same with her and what felt like 3 others. But where were they going? Those ones were splitting off at high speed. Oh fuck. A finger keyed his radio again. A team is already on the way to intercept the intruders. I want a full lockdown of the city ASAP. Mr. 9 out. Hearing an air raid siren rise up around the city, Naruto turned to Tayuya and the girls. Get back to the compound. Someone thinks they are sneaky. May called from the wall monitor. Should we send Ninja to assist? I can be on my way as well. Already they could see movement behind her, but Naruto was shaking his head. We've got this, but I'd say stay alert. I suppose. May ended the call first, a determined look on her face while Naruto was turning back to the others. Tayuya gave thanks her chakra was stable once more, body shifting into her seldom used second form with ease. We'll keep home safe. Tayuya and Ino grabbed hold of Temari who had yet to learn the Haraishin before flashing away. Naruto was cracking his knuckles as Sakura and Sasuke formed up at his shoulders. Naruto eyed the girl and the interesting pendant on her forehead. Sure we can't convince you to sit this one out. Sakura grinning, eyes flashing as Sasuke's own bled into his Mangekyo. You couldn't get rid of me if you tried. Plus, I wanna try something. Rolling his eyes, he latched onto his friends. Well, let's put down some intruders. In one breath they are in his office, in the next they are touching down on a sandy beach, looking out over the clear Azushio waters. Can't wait until we can have an uninterrupted and peaceful week. Sakura groaned and stretched an arm over her shoulders. You just want more time to canoodle your wives. That too, and maybe a week straight of sleeping and doing nothing important. Sue me. Naruto paused as Sasuke and Sakura pulled ahead of him, bantering back and forth with each other as another chakra signature smacked him in the face. Oh for the love of Naruto. Yugito crashed into his back, arms circling his shoulder to hold on tightly and pressing a bikini-clad body to him. I didn't think I would get a visit from you. Rolling his eyes as the woman nearly purred in his ear, Naruto looked at the long-haired blonde from the corner of his eye. Yeah. I forget you don't have a radio, but there's a bit of an emergency going on right now. Sasuke and Sakura were staring at him now, as Samui joined them wearing a rather daring all-white number. Naruto smirked as Sakura slapped a hand over Sasuke's eyes. So little fabric. You should evacuate with everyone else. Yugito sighed, pulling away as indeed they could hear the air raid sirens that had sent everyone else running to the underground shelters. Only, she wasn't in the mood to run. Who is it? I promised you that you wouldn't have to fight anymore, Yugito. Naruto pulled away, turning to face the pair fully. Your time fighting is done. Go back and stay safe. Yugito shook her head, hands on her hips and feet planted. You all have been good to your word, and I've built a home here. I've been able to have a peaceful life, I've made friends. Reconnected with someone I thought I'd never see again. I want to give back a little. Pointing at him, Yugito grinned. So, who's coming that we need to smack the shit out of for interrupting our day? Naruto watched the quiet Samui join up next to Yugito and sighed. Killer B and A. Seeing both of them with wide eyes, Naruto nodded. Like I said. I don't want you to fight. Plus, you aren't really in the correct attire for it. In a puff of smoke and the sounds of some shuffling, both women were dressed in more serviceable clothing. Yugito did however look uncertain. Killer B is coming, huh? Samui sighed, eyes turning to the ocean as she considered things. At this point the Raikage is probably going to execute me anyway. Not like she was going to be of much help in a fight against a Kage and a Biju. Sasuke sighed, turning away as Sakura finally let go of his head. Heads up, they're close. Bobbing his head in a nod, Naruto turned back to both women. What'll it be? Once they're here, I don't think I'll have time to spare. Two clones burst into life on either side of him. How about a compromise if you want to help so much? Yugito and Samui were startled as the clones grabbed them. Yugito was quick to figure things out. Wait a minute. You ass, and then they were gone, whisked away to assist with the defense of his clan instead. Sakura sighed as Naruto turned back towards them. They're gonna give you hell later. Sasuke grunted, you need to be neutered. That's for future me to worry about. And hush, before I toss you at the next daimyo I meet. Chuckling and turning back to an explosion of water not far from the coast, Naruto began to power up. I'll handle B, think you can smack downer. B was in full chakra biju mode, though it looked wrong. Forced even. A was riding on his head, glaring down on him as they approached. Kakuku, getting the chance to beat down a cage. Why would I refuse? Sakura shivered and smacked her love for his efforts. Don't do that, you sounded like Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. I've come for your head. A's voice boomed, and Naruto feigned indifference and wiggled a finger in his ear. Sorry, totally not my type. I'm into jiggly bits, not dangly bits. Veins bulged from A's forehead as lightning coursed all over his body. I'm going to kill you, brat, and shove your head on a pike. Launching himself forward, he's almost immediately intercepted by a dainty red-nailed fist. What? Said fist smashed into his face and set him bouncing along the beach. Sakura grinned as she rebounded off of the bucking chakra construct that B had become and chased after Sasuke, who had moved to intercept A. You gotta get through us first, old man. B moved to stop them, but was met with Naruto. The golden form of Kurama grinned down on the malformed octoball. Uzumaki. B. Guess this is the path you chose then. B sighed, locking eyes with the younger Jinchuriki. You should understand. I have a duty to uphold, and honor guides me. Naruto shoved a foot into B, tossing the construct away and into the surf. I hate those words. Like you don't have a mind of your own. Walking after B with all 9 of his tails thrashing into the waves and into the sky around them, Naruto pointed a finger at B. You a human, aren't you? Choose, damn it. You aren't a slave. They came together with a crash, sending up water and earth as Fox overpowered the bull hybrid. All of us are slaves to something, boy. Working a horn free, a tentacle slammed into Naruto's chest, only for 2 golden tails to smash into B's face. This would be much easier if Gyuki would stop being stubborn. I truly hope he kills you. No help there, of course. Instead, he rode the hit, letting it launch him away as dense chakra began to build within his mouth. Try this on for size, boy. Naruto's eye lit up, deciding it was time to show the other container just why fighting him was such a stupid idea. Go ahead. Whatever you send my way, I'll give it back tenfold. Having exchanged some hits with the other container, Naruto could tell. Gyuki wasn't in this. B was fighting alone. B's committed a great sin. He's made his choice. Naruto watched as the dense black chakra grew in size, his own hands mirrored by Kurama's shell and coated with seal. Guess we'll need to free Gyuki then. Good choice, little brother. B forced the dense biju chakra to condense, before forcing the chakra body to eat it. Taste of full-powered biju dharma from the 8 tails. There was light and heat, all sound drowned out in an overwhelming display of power that saw the very ocean begin to boil. He couldn't see as Naruto caught the ball, stripping it of its chakra and absorbing it into himself. But he did see Naruto still there, grinning within the chest of the Kyuubi and rushing him. What? Hold this. A biju-sized Rasengan burst into life, mixed with wind and fire chakra to form a spiraling shuriken filled with liquid fire. Rasengan disintegrator. Naruto let the attack fly, catching B in the face and watching the other chakra construct get captured in a massive dome of wind and fire that howled high into the sky. Knowing the timing, Naruto was already racing ahead, just reaching B's reforming chakra cloak as the attack ended. Let's go, B. Is this the fight you wanted? Hands and tentacles coming up to struggle against Naruto's own tails and hands, B gave ground. He'd have to take to the water, use what advantages he had. Staying this close to land was only helping the boy. Stumbling back once, twice, 3 times, B grinned as he felt the ocean floor begin to slope heavily away. We're just getting started, Naruto. We better be. Naruto needed to subdue him properly so he could extract Gyuki. Killing him or atomizing him wouldn't do him any good. Making the captive biju suffer wasn't high on Naruto's priority list. So, Looks like he was in it for the long haul. B hauled Naruto up and over his head, slamming Naruto into the deeper waters before disappearing into the depths himself. With a little effort, Naruto was back up and on the water's surface, a smirk on his face as he waiting. This'll be fun. Absolutely. Just finishing the thought, B, now in a much smaller, more form-fitting chakra cloak, was sent spiraling out of the water into the air, 3 chitinous tails chasing him. Thanks, Sanbi. A roar answered him from the water, but Naruto was already flying ahead, abandoning the overkill that was the Biju mode, to instead move on into his Sage mode, Rinnegan shining. Let's see what kind of swordsman you are, B. Kubakiri was in his hand with a thought, already arcing through the air to dismember the bigger man. B drew 2 of his blades, blocking Naruto with some effort before the impact pushed him away. But Naruto was right there, falling through the air with him and raining down heavy bone-rattling strikes on him, all while keeping that feral grin on his face. Face twisting into a scowl, B drew a 3rd blade and wielded it with his teeth. You've given too much of yourself to your Biju boy. More like you've stopped listening to yours at all. Naruto brought down an overhead strike, speed and power increased with magnet release on his blade, while further sharpened with wind chakra along its edge. All 3 of Killer B's weapons here destroyed in an instant, throwing B like a falling star back into the rolling sea below them. Naruto floated there in the air for a moment, eyes shining as he waited, before a half-transformed B rose out of the depths, screaming in rage and trailing fiery red chakra. Holding up a hand as his grin increased, Naruto dug into the Rinnegan now. Shinra Tensei. B was thrown back down into the waters below, chakra wavering but trying to come up with a plan. You'll really sit back and let him kill us? Hump. You assume he'll kill you. B rose back to the surface, deftly avoiding the searching tails of the Sanbi circling around below their fight. Sure seems like he wants to. Chakra snapping back into existence, he rode within the uprising water while drawing 3 more of his remaining 4 blades. You'll have to try harder than that, Naruto. Naruto was in his face, eyes shining as his right arm opened with augmented puppetry technology and began to glow with power. How hard would you like it? Chakra exploded forth, the chakra cannon utilized by the clone sending B careening away to skip along the water's surface. The Jinchuriki of the 8 tails was quick to find his feet, only to be assaulted by 5 more clones. His last blade was in his hand, deftly blocking a clone grasping for his head before getting launched away by the puppet Naruto once more. The real Naruto floated above, watching B weave between the attacks and doing his absolute best to counter-attack while he could. And inside, Naruto could feel the trapped Biju. Gyuki was angry, hurt, a mix of emotions as the container he had thought he could trust and depend on had finally betrayed him in the end. A dreadful feeling washed over Naruto, before Kurama huffed. You'll never be like him, remember that. Thanks, Kurama, I'll keep that in mind. There was an explosion in the distance, and Naruto saw sand and dust rising into the air. Sasuke and Sakura are having fun. Best get back to it, B is starting to wane. Naruto could see that as well, the clones hemming him in though he had destroyed 1 at least. But his chakra was an unstable mess, the bastardized Uzumaki containment seal doing its best but just not enough. Shooting down towards his target, Naruto kicked up water in a high rooster tail as he flew towards his fellow Jinchuriki. Brace yourself, Killer B. B was already turning, the clones around him jumping away as red and black chakra snapped into a thin cloak around his body. Sword already in mid-swing and beginning to trail electricity, his glasses glinted in the sun as Naruto was suddenly before him. Let's go. Naruto's sword whistled through the air, crashing against B's own that was encased in both his Biju chakra and lightning chakra. It wasn't enough, the sage breaking through and taking his arm as he flew past, leaving B whirling and trying to stay on his feet. The pain didn't register yet, even after spying his arm splashing into the water and staining the sea with his blood. Naruto was already back, sword flipping and reversing back towards his legs. So fast. Too fast. B was falling, his left leg gone below the knee as he watched his foot spin through the air. So, this was it. He really had lost. Naruto sighed, holding his sword over Killer B's chest as the large man lay in the water panting for breath. The only reason his body hadn't fallen below the waves was Naruto's own chakra keeping up the surface tension. It's a shame, you know. We could have been friends, made a real difference. Fu wanted to see all of us come together someday, ya know. You just. I have my honor. I never would have turned against Kumo. Even for you. Shaking his head, a tail extending from his cloak, a scroll bursting into view from a seal, maybe you should have. Kumo might have survived. Blinking as the last of his chakra faded away, B turned tired eyes towards Naruto. He was so cold now. So tired. What? Kumo's gone B. They couldn't be saved. I was right. Cough asterisk Uzumaki would be the death of Kumo in the end. Seems all the warnings meant nothing in the end. Sounds like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you'd left us alone, we'd never have anything to do with you. Says you. Naruto nodded, sealing B away before he could bleed out. Yeah, says me. Turning to spy a rising dust cloud in the distance before a shockwave hit him, he rolled his shoulders, one down. Kurama was grinning in his mind, one to go. B we turn back time, to just as Naruto separates from Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke draws his sword, blitzing over the sand after the Raikage who was already back on his feet, with a shout, lightning chakra met lightning chakra, sword against super-powered muscles. Well, you're big. A grin down on the boy who thought to stand up against him, move aside boy. You aren't the Uzumaki and not worth my time. The cage was forced to lean back and retreat, a foot trailing visible chakra passing through the space his head had been. Another tremor shook the area, but he was unable to counterattack, Sasuke already there swinging his sword to protect his wife's back. A's fists flashed back and forth, deflecting and redirecting strikes with little space to spare. Sand and dust fly in the air, surrounding the two in a sphere of low visibility while Sakura circles around the edges of their kill zone. There was no time for her to shoot in and assist, not yet. Even still, she circulated even more chakra through her body, muscles coiled and ready for the sign of something changing. A moment, Sasuke pushed back as a blocked his blade with a lightning-covered fist, and then Sakura is there, her own fist coming forward to crash into his own that had been shooting for Sasuke's head. Sasuke was already inhaling and molding chakra in his lungs, determined to melt A's face off. A uses Sakura's fist to leapt away backwards, the grand fireball immolating the space he had been in and liquefying the sand and silica into a thin layer of molten glass in seconds. As the attack ends and the wind carries away the dust, A is there in Sakura's face, a mad grin on his face as his arm is extended for his signature move. Lariat. Surprise morphed into a matching grin, Sakura ducking in order to drive a straight right deep into the Raikage's solar plexus. Lariat this meathead. Eyes shining, she drives the Raikage further back, with Sasuke coming to stand just in front of her with his sword raised. Standing up and cracking her knuckles, Sakura huffed, he's fast. Naruto fast. Almost, and don't overdo it. A made his way back to his feet, chuckling as he dusted his pants off. Ah, it's been a long time since I've fought someone that could react that fast. Odd. I looked at the Sharingan-wielding Uchiha, then to the smirking pink-haired woman, and began to frown. So that's how you do it. Genjutsu a specialty of yours, girl. Sakura huffed, adopting a stance and widening her base, among other things. Pupils shifting slowly into two Tomo Sharingan, should have figured you'd notice. Another Uchiha brat, should have known. Why are you helping the Uzumaki? They're a blight on this world. You of all the clans know this. A fist came up, intercepting Sasuke's sword and they were back to fighting within their own personal circle of death. Sasuke smirked, maybe we know better, and you're the one who's been operating under a lie. You're saying someone pulled the wool over all of the previous Raikage. Be serious boy. That sword of his streaked by his face, a thin line of blood opening up on his cheek. Pressing his attack, Sasuke stepped forward, forcing the Raikage to retreat. I am being serious and you would know all about it if you had just given us a chance to talk to you. Sparks flew between them, and Sasuke was beginning to wonder how long his sword was going to hold. It wasn't some legendary creation like Naruto's Kubikiri. Naruto has been trying to get you to see reason, you old bastard. Veins bulging, A's next strike broke Sasuke's sword in two, shards embedding into his knuckles before his overextension saw him drive his fist into the ground. The earth shook as a pillar of dust and sand was thrown into the air. It took more time for the area to clear, but in a small crater that had been formed was there, frown on his face as he picked metal from his hand. Don't speak to me about that brat. I'll be dealing with him after I'm done with you. Sasuke sighed and exchanged a look with Sakura who shrugged. You can't say you didn't try. Should we go ahead and tell him Kumo is gone? Rolling his eyes, Sasuke turned to keep the rakeage in his sights. You just did. Whoops. A look between them, pausing in his march as he looked for the lie. For some show that they were messing with him. No, he knew. His forefathers had warned them. So long as the Uzumaki live, Kumo would fall. It was only a matter of time. Which meant this was now a mission of vengeance. I'm going to kill you both. Sasuke held his right hand out, concentrating as black fire rose and built into a 3-foot rod. With some effort and thought, the fire solidified into a blade of darkest obsidian, which he held in his hand with a smirk. Point to me, let's continue. I jumped away, closer to the coast as he finished a set of seals with lightning-assisted speed, water lightning dragon. A construct of water rose and built behind him, before taking in the pair of Uchiha and lunging for them, gaining lightning as it passed by its master. Sasuke was there to intercept it, while Sakura dove in to re-engage her in close combat. Foolish girl. A fist came down. Sakura's left rose from her hip to meet it, Tomo spinning and eyes shining. The only fool here is you, last rakeage. Their fists met in a shockwave that cleared the area down to the rock underneath the beach sand, the pendant on Sakura's forehead shining and chakra ink bleeding out in a tribal design down her cheeks. They fought against each other for a moment, before they broke away as an even match. And then Sasuke was there, sword coming down on A's arm. Don't touch my wife. The cut was clean, the wound cauterized by hellfire was left staring at the stump of his left arm. That would make things harder. But both Uchiha were already upon him, and with some clarity, he realized he needed to pull back. Regroup with B. You aren't my targets, I need to get after that Uzumaki brat. Oh. Don't mind me, I'm enjoying the show. And there he was, floating harmlessly over their battlefield with a smirk on his face. A's face twisted further into a scowl as hatred built in his heart. You. He avoided another sword swipe as he reactivated his lightning armor. He knew better now than to touch this blade. Naruto was all grins, me. Eyes shining, he considered the rakeage as he fought between Sasuke and Sakura. They really were giving him the run around. And I thought you played with your food. Never let it be said Sakura and Sasuke don't have a mean streak a mile wide. A kick sent the pink-haired girl rolling back into the sand, but that just gave Sasuke more room to work, sword coming in a whistle before reversing and carving through sand and air alike. Even the rend in the terrain had instantly turned to sand. A's voice was tinged with rage now. You Uzumaki should have stayed dead. And you should pay attention to your surroundings. I didn't have to look, a back kick nearly catching Sasuke in the midsection, but Sakura was back with a fist radiating chakra that crashed into his knee. He knew it was shattered even before he hit the ground. And then there was that blasted sword, his right arm gone just above the elbow before he could think to react. Down and beaten, A started up at the pair while Naruto floated above them like a demented demon. This. How? Sasuke sighed, dispelling his technique with ease. How does it feel, knowing you were on the wrong side of history? A stared in defiance directly at Naruto, eyes for no one else but him. The world will see you for what you are. Sooner or later. You're no savior, but a demon to tempt humanity to the death. Rolling his eyes, Naruto created a single clone bearing the Rinnegan which walked up to the rakeage. Honestly, I'm not too worried about what the world may or may not think of me when this is over. You made your bed, time to lay in it. A tried and failed to fight off the hand that grabbed him by the scalp. I won't talk, not to you. Kumo will rise again. Not your Kumo, and they'll know better than to fuck with me. Naruto watched as the clone pulled A's soul from his body. It was quickly stored away for later use, before he turned back to his team and family. And so ends the lunacy of the rakeage. He'd really have to let Kyuki know about the state of things now. Sasuke and Sakura were already jogging towards him, worry on their faces. We should head back to the island, what about that team? Naruto was already grinning as his friends latched onto him as he lowered himself down to their level and stood on his own 2 feet. Oh, I wouldn't worry too much. Those girls have some frustration to work out. With a thought they were gone, leaving behind a quiet beach that come high tide would be washed clean. No sign of the battle that had taken place there. And by tomorrow, it would be a fresh and clean play, ready for peaceful visitors. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment.